Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Meanderings with the mere mortals themselves, Juan and Karen.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you've got two good topics to talk about. I've got my beanie on today.
Yeah.
Primarily because my hands are all over the place, and sometimes I check the videos, right, of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I look like an absolute twat.
Really?
I was doing my book review on Tim Ferriss the other day, Tim Ferriss's Tribe of Mentors.
Yeah.
I had this one bit of hair just sticking out
Nice, man.
sideways, horizontal. I'm like, that's it. I'm going beanie until I get a bit of a haircut. So there's a bit of a mane going under here.
Nice.
So, anyways, meanderings is always a session for us to just
talk about
chill
random
back.
stuff.
Got a can of Monster
wine
juice.
be,
I again bought now. I'll start with this. We're starting with this. So if you've heard it from the past, I bought 2 cans of Monster.
Yeah.
And it was me getting greedy, and it cost me.
Try to save money.
Yeah. So I was trying to go $4 was one of them. $5.99 for 2.
Yeah.
However, this time I thought I'm going to flip it on them. I'm going to know that it's this, but even better, they actually had a can of Monster, which wasn't just 500 mils. It was 550 mils. And I went, I'm going to take these 2 because the deal was only for the 500 mils. And I'm going to be like, I'm going to see if I can get these 2 for $5.99.
Nice, man.
Took the 2 up. No, they were too smart for me. They're like, no, you can't do that. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll just take the one. And he was like, you can have both $5.99. I was like, see, vengeful deities that are beyond that have helped me out. So anyways.
Well, you've actually got me thinking. I in the past, you've heard people say like, try and negotiate a price down for something.
Like a coffee
or something like that. And, at least in Australia here, bartering is not really something we do. Overseas, it's a lot more common, especially if you're in a market type scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, even in,
here in markets, we don't really barter.
Yeah.
In Australia.
Yeah. Not as hardcore as some places do. But I was thinking like, one way I would sort of be comfortable trying to do that is if I try and make it into a big joke. So if it was like from the get-go, I wasn't super serious about it.
Yep.
But was trying to be like, I don't know, find a funny way of doing it. Like, just the way you were sort of saying it then sort of made me think, okay, yeah, maybe if I try to...
You do it just because it'd be like a funny thing to try and do. Like, then you'd be like, okay,
yeah, and
sure, I'll follow
if the guy was in on the joke as well, that I was trying to be doing something like silly and out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So, that was just one random thing. The other thing, which you just mentioned was...
Yep.
If you listen to the TED Talk by Chris Voss, who wrote a book I talked about, which was...
His name sounds familiar.
Breaking... Goddamn, I've forgotten the name of it. I know it in Spanish because I did it in Spanish. Romper la barrera del no. But
break the no barrier.
Yeah, but it is...
break the barrier of no.
I can't remember it. Anywho, he's going on about how he had a interview on CNN and he had this piece sticking out of hair sticking out and he could see it on the camera monitor.
Yeah.
But he wasn't sure which side it was. And so he's like got this like real dumb look on his face trying to like figure out what to do. It's right at the start of the interview and then you just see his hand go up like this and go like that and he hits the wrong side. And his TED Talk is pretty funny because he goes into like a whole spiel about how this happened like during this important CNN interview. So yeah, what have you got? What's on your mind for today?
Well, my page is blank.
Okay.
It's actually a little bit blank. And I think the reason why I want it to be blank is I have found that when I am impromptu and when I'm ad lib with a lot of things, I'll tend to be 10 times better.
Yeah, okay.
I was doing this thing at work, I think it was like a week and a half ago. We had to present. It was a huge presentation and I prepared for it really hard. And you have to do that. You have to prepare a lot, just like you're doing a presentation to whoever or you're trying to sell something, right?
Yeah.
You got to be prepared and know your stuff. But I kind of over prepared or over emphasized this is exactly what I'm going to do and really planned it out. So much so that when I got to do it, when something went a bit out of the plan, which always happens.
Yeah.
Then I was like, I was too ingrained. I knew too many things. And I was like, oh, now I can't get to this step and I got to go here and this thing broke. And I was a little bit all over the place. But then more recently, I had to do another presentation with a couple of other people. And I was just busy. Like I was doing a million things. No time to even prep. But I just jumped into this and I just went bang, bang, bang. Just went really ad lib, just ad hoc, doing whatever. And it just came out like awesome. I was just having conversations with people. I was like, oh, look at it loading. Look at this. This is how it functions. So today I'm going with the blank page.
Nice.
I think I can riff a lot better when it's just blank.
So do you think that's like an internal mindset or a mood thing. So when you've starting off the presentation, you're in I guess more of a mood to be more spontaneous, and that allows you to adapt to those things that come up. Or maybe it's like less stress on yourself because you don't have all the notes in front of you, so you don't have to, stick to everything you've gotten. Maybe it's even an internal thing where it's like, I did all this planning, I wanted to stick to the plan. Whereas if you're sort of letting it loose, you're more able to flow with it.
I think just because the type of person who I am, I just like to talk a lot when it's a particular topic. And if I've got some knowledge about it, I'll just like fly with it for a long time. But I'm also an over planner. Like I'll always want to plan just a giant amount. But I think now I'm more naturally inclined to just riff off any particular topic once I know about it, as opposed to structuring it so deeply. So I'll lean towards that side.
Yeah, gotcha.
What's some of your topics, mate?
So you sent me a video not too long ago, and it was called ScoMo and the Wombat Wobble.
Ah, yeah. I don't know if I can reenact it, but it was kind of like... it was good.
Yeah,
the Wombat Wobble.
For those international people who don't know ScoMo is our Prime Minister.
Our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison. And he was doing one of those things where they're in front of a kids group, and so they're playing a song, a kid's song or something, and he's dancing along with them. And the funny thing about all these things always is because they look so absolutely uncomfortable doing it. Like they do not look like they want to be there. They do not know, like their body's all stiff and tense. I'm not a dancer at all, but even I sort of know the trick to this, which is to have fun with it. And one of the ways you can do that is by like taking it real serious. So what would have been cool, like if I see that and I think like, man, okay, one, he's a shit dancer, and he's it's sort of fake. Like he doesn't look like he's enjoying himself, having fun there. It's like,
a bit of forced ScoMo. You need to pick up your game.
But if he was there and he sort of, got real serious and sort of like making sure, I would say the commitment is what you need. It doesn't need to be serious, but you need to commit 100% to it. So if you're doing it and then, you start doing your things, but then you like get the serious look on your face or real get into it and then add some of your own dance moves and stuff. That way I would look at that and be like, okay, that's a guy who's like having fun. Maybe he doesn't particularly want to be there and spending his time
but
dancing. But
he's putting in some effort to make the right wombat dance.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's something I've just realized while looking at that. If you're ever in a situation where you're potentially doing something, especially in front of kids, where you have to sort of tone down your level of everything. I reckon just try and commit to it 100% and that'll make it better. And if not, at least more fun for you. Yeah. The other one is a more serious thing I've been thinking about, which is the mindset of being undeniable. So, and that's, I guess,
mindset of being undeniable.
Or searching for or trying to be so good that you're undeniable. And what I mean by that is, especially if you hear about cancel culture and people doing bad things which detract from their main thing. So I watched Leaving Neverland the other day. I'm only 5 years behind the popular culture, but that's the Michael Jackson documentary about the kids, like now grown adults, accusing him of basically touching them, performing sexual acts with them when they were 7-10 years old, something like that. But he was so good. He was such a good dancer. He was such a good singer. He had such a big impact that is like undeniable. Like no matter what you say about him as a person, which if you're judging it from that, it's kind of fucked up. The other side of him, the performing Michael Jackson, is just so good. You can't sweep away that aspect of it just because he was a really shit human being on the side. And so that's sort of something I was thinking, like, I'd like to, and tying in with our I guess, revamped branding of striving for excellence. I want to be so excellent, so good that it's undeniable that if someone like tries to cancel you or mess you up, maybe they can on one certain aspect, but if you're so good at this other aspect, like that'll stand against that'll
be the diamond in the rough. I get what you're saying. It gets tricky. So I think the mindset of being, that absolute standout individual or entity, or whether it's the group, it makes me question it, because I think only people can get a bit confused with it being sort of like a perfectionist view. Like you have to be almost perfect. A lot of people will think about it. Like if you want to be like unquestionably the best at something, a lot of people think, well, you'd have to be the best and you'd have to be perfect. You're always going to be doing those things. It's perfect. I think that's where it can get a little bit dangerous and a bit weird with it, because I would disagree on always trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because then you get down the path of you're not actually actively doing something until you are doing it perfectly. So I know a lot of people who, like, I'll say to them, oh, you're quite a good cook, or you're quite good at soccer, and you should actively like go after it and try to be, become better, like actively put more effort into it. You could be doing this and that and provide value, even if it isn't monetary value. You could just be providing more value to people in the way that they have maybe entertainment or learnings, right? You can just be giving all this value.
Yeah.
And they get stuck in this mindset. It's like, oh, well, I want to be unquestionably the best and, the absolute best in this particular category. And to do that, I've got to be perfect. So until I'm perfect, I'm not going to do that. That's the equivalent of me saying, say we wanted to be the best podcasters. And I don't actually have that dream. I don't want to be the number one podcast in the world.
Yeah.
I don't want that. But if you wanted to be the number one podcaster in the world, you might be like, oh, well, I've got to be the most perfect, like audio, interactions, video, ads in the middle, music, cuts, everything. And you might take like 12 months to do that, to have like one episode that it just becomes like this absolute pristine thing, while someone else could just be doing, 12 months of producing an episode every week, essentially 52 tries.
Yeah.
And you might get 4 or 5 that push you towards being, at the end of that year, someone will look at that one awesome episode, and then 52 episodes where maybe 5 or 6 of them were like really great, and people go, oh, well, I kind of find these people a little bit more, more in tune with me. I think these sort of people strive for excellence better.
Yeah.
Sure, this guy was perfect on one occasion, but these guys are continuing to do it. I'm going to just continue to follow them. So that's my only word of warning with that.
Yeah, well, when I talk about that, for me, it doesn't really encapsulate perfection. I think the undeniable aspect is just becoming so good at something. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be perfect at it. And I totally agree as far as if you want to get good at something, yes, you can try to perfect it.
Yeah.
But I think you need to realize you won't be able to perfect it. And if you go down that avenue, I think there needs to always be it's hard because you want to be striving to be better. And so you want to make things better. And I think...
Well, I got a question for you.
That's a hard one.
I got a question for you here on that being undeniable. Can you think personally, as a human being, as a mere mortal, what would you want to be undeniably great at? That people would be like, oh, he's undeniably really great at that. That's a hard question. Like, it's really hard. You'd have to really sit down and talk about it. It's only because it popped into my mind. So I'll say mine first and you can communicate it.
Yeah.
But then I also want to ask you, as mere mortals, the company, the group, what would you think we would want to be undeniably great at? What would people, it's like, someone's listening to us and they're like, okay, I like the cut of the jib. I want to interact with them. I want to see what services they have. What would we be like, okay, we can offer you all these things, but our key thing that we would want to be able to do for you, that we are undeniably like crack at, what is that going to be? So I'll let you have a think about it from a personal perspective. So for me, and because it pops straight into my mind, it makes me think that this is like, that's the first go. So I'll have to think if something else pops up later. But what it just came and resonated with me was what I would, if you were to look at me and be like, oh, what is he undeniably like really good at? I sometimes would be like, well, could it be like fitness? Sure, but there's a lot of other people who are better at fitness stuff. Supplements, same thing. So I'm like good, but not like fantastic. But actually, one thing that I'm fantastic is be able to go to the 40,000 foot view, if you want to call it, and then all the way down to the 1 foot view. So I can go between like super high level view and communicate at that level. So in my day-to-day work, I can communicate with like executives, like really high level executives. I've interviewed like millionaires. I've interviewed like really high position people. I've worked directly for some and reported to them. But then I can really quickly, and when I'm talking really quickly, it's like I have a conversation with someone at that high level and that particular communication pattern down to someone like literally the front line who's like doing the work, operating it.
Yeah.
And I can shift really quickly that focus on going, there's a super high level strategy work and there's super tactical, like this is the line of code we're doing or this is the change we're doing.
Yeah.
This is the type of sale, this is the person I'm communicating with. And I can flick between them like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. There's not many changes I need to go in between that. And I can kind of hold that state for a while. So if I think to myself, what I'd be undeniably good at, that would be one of those things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What about you?
I would want it to be something like this. I'd want to be so interesting that people would have to ask me questions. And this is not a vanity thing per se, because for me, I always get much more enjoyment when I'm letting other people speak or when learning from other people.
Yep.
But I'd love to get to a stage in my life where I've got such varied experience across different things and getting somewhat good at them as well. Not perfect, not undeniably good at this one thing.
Yep.
But have, I guess, just such a range of experiences that, if I was talking with a random person, I could talk with that, a person from a completely different country, a different culture or something, and still find something that we could both talk about and have had experience with.
Yeah. In the Venn diagram of the world, you've got some sliver that actually interacts still.
Yeah. And so I'd love to get to a stage where people are like, what the fuck? How'd you have all this time to do all these like different things and get it good at them? I think that would be cool.
I love this interaction, right? So I love talking with people at work or elsewhere who, when I say like what my normal day looks like, when I'm talking about, it's like, people think about, if you ever think, what do the podcasters do, right? If we only did podcasting, like me personally or you personally, sure, it is like there is effort, right?
Yeah.
But 100%. My day, I think, is probably 10%, 20% podcasting and everything that goes around it, and 80% everything else. But I love when I talk with people and they're like, oh, what was your weekend like, or what was your week like, especially weekends.
Yeah.
And they go like, oh, well, I went to the shops and I did other things, and they have other commitments. I get that.
Yeah.
But when I like list mine out, I'm like, oh, we did 2 podcasts, went here, did this, went this, interacted with these people, had an interview, networked with these people, did like 20 social media posts, did all this. Like it never ends. And it's just kind of like, right, okay. And, over time, undoubtedly, right, year, 2 years, 3 years, you do that consistently. People look back and go, man, how did you even accomplish this? And it's just those little like wins every single day that ended up summarizing it.
For sure.
Think about it. I go, our current social profiles, right? I remember them 8 months ago, 10 months ago, when they were just at their baby beginning.
Yeah.
Sure, some of our profiles currently, they're still in their very beginnings, right? Very beginnings. But yeah, I look at some of our key ones like Instagram, and that one's growing fairly steadily, like on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah.
And, you'd be hazarded to guess if you were to go and look at it now and be like, oh, these guys have like quite a little bit of a following. There's some followers there.
Yeah.
But I remember a time when there was just like
death.
Nothing. There was nothing there, right?
Yeah, interacting with the void.
Yeah. So it's a good question. Asking yourself like, what do you want to be like undoubtedly the absolute best or top thing at?
Yeah, for sure.
I will warrant this though. Don't get super committed to the fact that you only then have to be like this unbelievable person in that area,
or
and then nothing else,
or sticking your ego to that one thing.
Yeah.
So that, definitely. You don't want to be. Everything about you is known as the gym guy who can lift, 500 kg or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
In whatever place, and then you hurt yourself, and then you can't do it anymore. That's a.
I think about it as like let it be your superpower. Right?
Yeah.
Not your
that's
dagger.
That's a good one. I like that.
So treat it as your superpower, that you can use it for good, as opposed to the dagger that you could use it to fight someone, but it can also hurt you as well. So treat it like that. Now, from a mere mortal's company perspective, have you had to think about it? This is not something we have discussed that much, really, but if you had to just came to your mind, or to be like, you want to be undoubtedly known for like this.
To be honest, man, it's a pretty similar thing. I'd love it to be renowned as like, no matter what you say about how we present, how we look, how we do things, I'd still want it to be like someone to look at that and be like, yeah, holy shit, this is interesting. Like, how do they have time to go from interviewing this blah 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 person to then be doing a book review to then be chatting about, their golf scores or blah, 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 or some stupid crap. I'd like a similar thing where it's to capture the attention of someone and in a positive way, not in a negative way as well. Especially that's probably something I should have mentioned, because it's very, very easy to
have negative media attention.
Get that and be outlandish for the sake of being outlandish. That does not appeal to me at all. And people who do that, really, that's probably one of my pet peeves. People who you see them playing up certain aspects of their personality or whatnot, or taking things to the extreme just to be able to.
Yeah, look, if I'd say it myself, I'd say what I would want it to be like is we would be undoubtedly known as the group, right? The company that can help you tailor your message so you can be the most interesting brand there is, that you have the ability to be. So I think one thing we do have, we have skills, which means we can plan things. We have, you're a great planner, I can plan. I can network the hell out of things. Like I can grow a network really quickly. In terms of like peer-to-peer, business, I can do that. Help with company things. We're talking about like websites and doing that. No, we're not going to do that.
Technical aspects.
We will go out. Sure, we know technical things, but
enough to get by.
We're not going to be putting our hats on the fact that we're like the top. But I think what we would be undoubtedly, and what I would want to be undoubtedly great at, would be Pizza Hut looking over and being like, we really need to be more interesting. We're going to hit up mere mortals.
Yeah.
We want to go to the core human being and be like, make us more interesting. Yeah. That's our thing. You want to be more interesting? We help you to do that.
Yeah. So, and that's very different from cool as well. Cool is
Or we're not or trend, like, not so much trending is like subsets of it. It's how to be interesting. So when I think about you think about Pizza Hut and you think about Domino's, which one do you choose first up?
For me, I'm probably Domino's person.
Why do you go Domino's?
Because Pizza Hut had too much sauce back in the day. That's why. They made it too saucy. So
but if I think about it from a brand perspective, though, Domino's crushes Pizza Hut, right? Crushes. And they're generally providing kind of the same service. It's the same pizza.
Yeah.
Prices fairly close. Yeah. One might have a bit more sauce, but you could just tell them, put less sauce, put more sauce, right? You can do that. But it's just the little tiny things that, say, Domino's does to make it more interesting, right? They've got Drew, which is their order, AI style that you can make an order through your phone or whatever, and you can just like speak to it and it'll make your pizza. The way that they've got touched with the delivery, that Pizza Hut might even do that, but because Domino's has already done it first, they just got all this market sort of share of people's interests. Same with Pizza Hut in like the social profiles. It's a little bit like it's pizza. You kind of like, if you have to, you do. But you'd be like,
what you asked for.
You start getting to the point, and when things are going to become definitely more audio driven, and you say, I want a pizza, you will say, I want a Domino's pizza. You're not going to really say like a Pizza Hut pizza. Right? So it's all these sort of like terminology. If you want to make it interesting, what could Pizza Hut do to actually go and impact Domino's? Do they have to shift completely their sort of market segmentation? Do they start going for something completely different to the pizza? Do they fight on price? And I think that's where we're coming, because the idea sounds simple of like, we help you make you interesting, but there's a lot of background information that you'd have to synthesize. So like the strategy behind what are other competitors doing? What profiles are you currently interacting with? Like, what's the sort of budget they're using? All this sort of stuff. And I think that's where we would be like the absolute top guns at, because it just require a lot of thinking, a lot of work. So Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut, reach out.
Let's do it.
Anyways, that's probably all for meanderings, to be honest with you. I hope you enjoyed, and check us out in all profiles. If Pizza Hut is listening, other people, and they are like thinking, man, these guys are bomb. How can I check out more things? Where can they find us?
I'm just waiting for Pizza Hut to leave us a message on Instagram. That'd be cool. Go on Instagram, I reckon. That's my tip for today. Go on Instagram. That's where you'll see the interesting stuff happening. You'll see some clips. You'll see some cool things. We're about to drop something very interesting this coming Saturday.
Saturday. Check it out. 1st of August.
1st of August.
Yeah, get excited. Also, actually, I've had this sometimes in my personal profile on Instagram where you get a lot of messages and a lot of interactions. And it's cool, But I've never really experienced what it's like to have a lot of commentary and a lot of messages and whatever, like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The Mere Mortals page is starting to get like that. It's a little bit like
the other day, man.
I went in there and I was like, why is there like 10 comments and like 15 messages here?
Yeah.
I was like, dang, this is a lot of things coming in here. So Instagram, hit us up through Instagram if you want to interact with us. We do have the website, which we're going to revamp in the future. There's you can find us everywhere else, right? Facebook, if you still use that for that purpose. Mark Zuckerberg. TikTok, if you want. LinkedIn, my personal one, you can see a couple of things. YouTube as well, if you want to see our pretty faces and our beanies.
Yeah,
Currently doesn't have this, but beanieless today.
I actually got chastised for wearing a Colombian shirt with an Argentinian beanie. You know what I said?
Jeez.
I don't give a shit.
Thank you to the robot for visiting us a couple of days ago.
Oh, yeah.
Check that every single one of our podcasts by audio format. So thank you very much. William 07359 .7.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it. One out.
That's it. Karen out.